Back on CBS Sports HQ, presented by Shell, and a whole host of notable college football matchups coming your way this weekend, starting with the big one in the horseshoe, Michigan and Ohio State, the battle of unbeatens in the Big Ten. How about South Carolina? The Gamecocks suddenly a threat at Clemson this weekend. The Iron Bowl, Auburn and Alabama. TCU trying to remain unbeaten into the Big 12 championship game. LSU trying to finish strong against Texas A&M before the SEC title game. And for a deeper look into this weekend's college football slate, we welcome in CBS college football analyst Emory Hunt. Emory, let's start with that big one in the horseshoe. The Buckeyes have won the last 9 against that team up north at home. OSU favored by 7.5. Which way do you play this thing out?
Well, it's funny because Michigan now comes to this ball game with something they hadn't had in the last, 9 or 10 meetings. It was confidence. They got the monkey off their back. They beat Ohio State. And now that they won't come into this game all tense, I feel like they're going to play loose. They're going to play like we saw them play last year, albeit under different circumstances. I think this will be a lot closer than people think. It'll look like 2016 or 2012. So I'm taking Michigan and the points here against Ohio State.
The 93rd edition of the greatest intersectional rivalry in college football has real here and now significance. USC now ranks 6, not 5, and Notre Dame up to 15 now. The Trojans are favored by 5.5, and the total with USC third in the nation in points scored and Notre Dame hitting 35 or more in each of their last 5 games is giant at 64.5. What's your play here?
Well, I know I gave one play. I'm laying these points with USC. I just think they have the better quarterback in the situation, better offense, but man, their defense gives up more than people on Christmas Day in terms of gifts. So I see this one being a shootout. I would probably take the over as well, but I like the way USC has that fight, has that resolve. And I do feel as though because they see the playoffs right in their sights, they're going to play better defense, which may only give up 20-something points in this ball game. But I like them laying the 5.5 against Notre Dame.
All right, moving along, South Carolina just pulled off one of the shockers of the season. They dropped like $1 million on Tennessee last weekend. They're getting 14.5 now at Clemson. These two teams first met in 1896. Can the Gamecocks pull off another upset this time?
You know, this reminds me a lot of the old Bugs Bunny cartoons where you see the hole on the ground with the leaves over it that's different than everything else. You're like, I'm not going to step on that. I know that's a hole that's going to bring me right to China. I'm not taking the bait with South Carolina and Spencer Rattler, but I don't trust Tennessee's defense. I don't trust the defense of Clemson, and I also don't trust their own offense. So I feel like this one will be tighter because it's a rivalry game. They tend to play tight games, and I'm just banking on maybe we'll get back-to-back games from Spencer Rattler like we saw against Tennessee. I think this one will be a lot closer. The hook is what scares me mostly here, so I'm taking South Carolina in the points. But I'm not buying into South Carolina, but I'm taking them in the points here.
Well, the headline right now for two-loss LSU is their new ranking in the college football poll. They moved all the way up to number 5. There is also the issue of their game in College Station on Saturday evening where they are supposed to win by 10 points. You like the Tigers or the Aggies with that line?
Man, they are going to beat the brakes off Texas A&M. And it's bad because A&M spent all offseason talking about their 5 stars, talking about their NIL deals, talking about their ranking. They were preseason ranked 6th in the country. Now look at them, 3-7, 3-8, and about to be 3-9. I think LSU knows that they have to win in an impressive fashion to make their case. Even if they beat Georgia to get into the college football playoffs, it's going to look a lot like what we saw last weekend against UAB and how they were able to come out in the rain and dominate with their passing game. I think they're going to come out and dominate on both sides of the football. They put the end to A&M season in a significant way. I like them laying these 10 points.
All right, Emory, let's talk Iron Bowl. I think it's safe to say that Auburn's who's going to be their next coach speculation is probably the most interesting thing about them right now. But they are getting 22 against Alabama. The total's 49. What's your play on Auburn, Alabama?
I feel the same way about Alabama, the same way I feel about Georgia. These big spreads kind of scare me because they can get up so fast, and then we'll start to see them pull guys away. And next thing you know, those garbage points start to pile in. So I'm going to go over the total here. I can't trust Alabama's offense or team, how they go about their way. I think they dominate Auburn, but I feel like Auburn will get at least 2 touchdowns late in the ball game to get under this number. So I'm gonna take the over instead. I think we'll get a lot of points outside of them beating them more than 20 points, but definitely under 22.
Unbeaten TCU held on as expected to the number 4 ranking in this evening's brand new college football playoff poll that was just released. To keep it, though, they're going to need to not only win, but have a really strong showing in Ames on Saturday afternoon. Horned Frogs are giving 10, and the over-under is 47.5 against Iowa State. What's your winning play here?
I feel like they're playing the worst team to make the statement against, because Iowa State's defense is fundamentally sound. They're not out of position. They're going to compete hard in this ball game. So this game will be a lot closer than what TCU wants it to be. So I'm going to take the under here. I think they can take care of business and get a win against Iowa State. But, man, you talk about trying to make an impressive statement. It's not going to happen against the Cyclone defense, especially when you look at the fact that they can upset TCU. I think we're going to see a low-scoring game, a tighter game, which won't bode well for TCU come playoff committee ranking time once again.
I played at Jack Trice. It's going to be cold and it's going to be windy. It's always windy there, so the under, not a bad play at all. Emory Hunt, thank you very much. Here's a look at how he sees for the weekend. He is taking Michigan, USC, South Carolina, LSU, the over in the Iron Bowl, and the under in the TCU-Iowa State matchup, where there will be wind as always.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.